expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
The role of a woman in the society is to submit. Birth control are the pills of the devil. Education is so fundamental to the development of a people. I'm murderous. Simple as that. What am I voting for? Voting will change nothing.
Tout le monde haïtien, como ye. God save the Queen.
Broadcasting live on ILTV Studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. And of course, we are also broadcasting live on 105.3 FM The Beat. Welcome to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. I'm a Justice of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And of course, I'm a member of the local Catholic Church community. My spiritual advisor, praise the Lord, Bradley Roll is here with me. Bradley, welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you, Mr. Monker.
Well, folks, there was a tragic accident this afternoon on the corner of East Street and Malcolm Road, culminating in what appears to have been a 3 vehicular accidents. At the end of the accident, a Negro driver was killed. So that is sad, and that is one of the developing stories taking place here in Nassau, the Bahamas. Well, today is a wonderful day, and so there are some topics that I need to look at. To Bahama, do you have adequate security for your staff? Because in the District of New Providence appeared before me a Negro worker at Bahama, and from his allegation, I'm very concerned. What is the security strategy by the former Defense Force officer, Commodore Roderick Bowe? So that's one of the things. And then over the weekend, a Negro male was murdered. So the murder continues. And then we have reports from Haiti, Port-au-Prince, where Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis met with the President of the Republic of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse. When it was over, according to Negro FNMs, Dr. Minnis introduced the Minister of Transport as a Haitian citizen. Is that true? Or FNMs are creating political mischief? So there are some of the things that we shall be discussing. And then, of course, I'll tell you a serious mistake that the Prime Minister made when he fired a veteran civil servant, a consultant, Dr. Baltran Bettel. Subaltern has institutional memories, and had Minnis not been spiteful, him and the FNM, he would not have been caught in this mess. There's a reason why Christie held on to Subaltern, notwithstanding that he was a senior citizen. I'll tell you how Minnis is suffering. He is pussyfooting, and that pussyfoot that he has, Baltran Bettel would have been able to nurture it. So these are some things on my mind. And then, of course, I will tell you how I played taxi driver and what all the tourists them are telling me. And then I will tell you how this afternoon a tourist took the wrong turn. And there was only one man who could have solved the problem. It was me, as I invoke my office as Justice of the Peace. And when the pedestrians saw what I did, I was shocked. They all give me a rousing hand of applause. This is Freedom March. I am the Justice of the Peace for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We'll be right back.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV Studios. That's channel 224, Flow TV 112, and of course, we are broadcasting live on radio 105.3 FM, The Beat, or like I like to say it, 105.3 FM, Butler. So folks, my name is Rodney Monker, my spiritual advisor, Bradley Roll is here. And at 5 p.m., I'm going to be joined by a young man who has been a very political young man. And his name is, can you guess it? Latreille Raming. All right? So Latreille, you make sure you're in the studio by 5 o'clock, because if it is 5, it's Freedom March. My spiritual advisor, Bradley Roll, will read us a small scripture. Bradley.
What do you want to hear, Mr. Monker?
The word of the Lord.
The word of the Lord.
Amen.
Amen. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. I'm going to read this small passage here. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses number 9 and 11. Well, 9 through 11. Here's what it says. Oh, don't you not know that the wicked will not inherit the kingdom of God?
My Lord.
Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who have sex with other men, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor slanderers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. And this is what some of you were. But you've been washed, and you've been sanctified, and you were justified in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by the Spirit of our God. Here ends the reading of God's holy and precious word, Mr. Monker.
May Jesus' holy name be praised.
Absolutely. Amen. Absolutely.
Well, folks, I welcome each and every one of you to Freedom March. On the weekend, opposition leader Philip Brave Davis held a social for members of the media, journalists. I got a shock of my life when I got an invitation to attend the social. As you know, I'm not a journalist. But if it comes to playing journalism, I am able to outdo the trained professional. And so I accepted the invitation. And it was a wonderful occasion as we mixed and mingled. And I got a better look at the opposition. And I also had an opportunity to observe the Negro media. I was extremely flattered when Candia Dames, the chief editor of the Nassau Guardian, was so kind to speak to me. Because, you know, there's a constant struggle that I have with Candia. Candia is a young woman that I do love and admire. But there are times when she, can go astray. I was excited when Candia finally submitted to me and took a photograph of me. I was even moved emotionally when she said she will take a close photo with me. And as we took the photo, I said to myself, Lord, can Candia be one of the women there? I was close to getting her to submit, but she continued to resist me. But I'm a kind of man who can look into a woman's heart. And as I look into her heart, I can see that she has a pure in heart. And I believe one day, Candia will submit to man leadership. And one day, she will become one of the women there. Producer, do you have that photograph with Candia and myself? Goodness of mercy. Listen, why y'all wouldn't put the picture up with me and Candia? Lord have mercy on my soul. But Candia, I predict that one day you shall submit to mankind and you will become one of the woman them. My spiritual advisor, did you see the photograph?
Of course I saw it.
What do you
It's a
think?
wonderful photograph.
It's a wonderful
I'm
photograph.
trying to put my head together with this photograph. It's a friendly photograph.
Yes.
Candy is a beautiful young lady, to say
Listen,
the least.
she is charming.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she is beautiful.
And it does seem as if that
It looks like she has a pure in heart.
yeah, she seemed to. This photo seemed to suggest that she kind of appreciates you.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, don't forget now, Candy and I have the same nieces and nephews.
Yeah, the only problem though is
All right.
I see two glasses here that may have contained alcohol, and
I can assure you that Candy was drinking soda and I was drinking juice. So there was nothing
but it's a
down.
beautiful picture though. I like it.
Well, folks,
Beautiful.
having told you about that experience, I want to make a serious allegation. I've been consistent. I accuse the Anglican Church of attempting to cover up murder. You would recall that I used to be on a radio station, and I made a serious allegation that the Anglican Church was going contrary, because in the Anglican Church was a Negro woman who was elderly, and she was murdered by an Anglican altar boy. And they pulled a trick using church influence in the country. They kept the accused in custody for 7 years before the case came to court. If it wasn't 7 years, it sure seems to have been 7 years. And then one day, in the district of New Providence appeared before me a Negro citizen who complained that his auntie was murdered. And it would appear that the Anglican Church and the state were acting in collusion to prevent the case from getting to court. And I told him, I shall fire a scud, and so I did. And the next thing I know, the accused man was given bail. It was wicked that they gave him bail. And I wondered what was the motive for giving him bail. And I prayed, Lord, let no evil man destroy him of his life, so that he may face justice. And his case eventually came to court. But before it came to court, on 2 occasions, he, having learned that I had launched an attack against him, attempted to approach me on 2 occasions, one at Arrowback Key and one outside Super Value Blue Hill Road. As he attempted to approach me, I looked at him and I cut my eyes, and he turned away. Today, praise the Lord, his matter came to court and he was convicted. I'm going to read to you an accounting of what took place in court. I want the Anglican Church and some of those wicked priests to recognize what kind of man I am. Those who move against me unjustly, I lay wait, and when the opportunity arises, I shall attack them. It is wrong for a person to be murdered, and anyone who commits murder must be made to account for it. And those of us who can influence the society, we should not do that unjustly. So I'm going to read a story to you. This story was published in the Tribune. It was written by the Negro reporter N. Scavala, a caretaker who had worked for an 86-year-old woman who he had brutally stabbed to death in her Dan Nottage Estates home a decade ago, was last week sentenced to 40 years in prison by an acting Supreme Court judge. Acting Justice Andrew Forbes sentenced Senator Fowler to 48 years imprisonment for the murder of Iris Atcher in April of 2008, who he had stabbed multiple times in her chest with a kitchen knife. When that knife broke, he got another one and kept stabbing. Archer was also set on fire after lighter fluid was poured over her as she pleaded for her life. 8 years was taken off Flowers' sentence to reflect the amount of time he spent on remand in connection with the crime. Family members seated in the courtroom grew audibly agitated as Crown Prosecutor Raquel Wims recited the particulars of the crime to Acting Justice Forbes. And as the facts grew more and more grisly, some left in tears. According to the evidence, on April 12, 2008, Fowler was at the residence of the deceased cleaning up when he overheard Archer's daughter, Karen Culmer, speaking about sending money to her daughter who was away in college. He subsequently went to the kitchen area and unlocked a sliding door because he had plans to return to the house the following day, expecting that Archer and her daughter would be attending church at that time. However, Archer was left home alone the following day, while Mrs. Culmer, who lived with her, left the house early to attend the Sunday morning services at St. Agnes Anglican Church. Full stop for a second. So, Mrs. Archer is a member of St. Agnes Anglican Church, and Senator Fowler is the altar boy at St. Agnes Anglican Church. Now the story continues. Mrs. Culmer had asked Archer if she was sure she did not want to accompany her to church. However, Archer's response, relatives said, was that she did not feel well, but would be all right at home alone. Family members said that Sunday morning was the only time Archer had missed a service. On the day in question, Fowler with his girlfriend, Cindy, and a man who he knew only as Edmund from Nassau Village went to Archer's residence. He went to the rear of the house to the sliding door he had left open the day before and went inside. However, once inside, he encountered Archer in the kitchen by the sink, who asked, "Sonny, what are you doing here?" She wanted to know how he got inside. A struggle then followed between the two, resulting in him pushing Archer to the ground and getting a knife out of a knife holder from the kitchen and stabbing her in her chest. When that knife broke, he got another one and continued. Fowler then called out for Cindy and Edmund to come and assist him, and when Cindy walked to the door, she asked Fowler, "What the you do?" At this point, Archer was crying. Fowler then went to Mrs. Culmer's bedroom, got a pink and white pillow, gave it to Cindy, and told her to put it over Archer's face, which she did. He and Edmund then searched the house for money and found an envelope filled with cash. He and Edmund returned to where Archer was lying, and a bottle of lighter fluid was found and poured over her. She was set on fire while she begged and pleaded, "Y'all don't do this to me." After Fowler pleaded guilty to the single charge of murder, which came as part of a plea deal, Acting Justice Forbes regretted that he had decided to engage in such a violent act towards someone's mother and grandmother. The judge further expressed how, after Fowler discovered that someone was at home, he should have been dissuaded from continuing with his intent to rob. But in fact, he was not. And subsequent actions, the judge said, showed his disregard for life. Upon sentencing him, Acting Justice Forbes told Fowler to use his incarceration to reflect on his actions and the life he took as a result, noting that various people, such as Archer's family members, have to deal with the negative results of his action for the rest of their lives. Antonia Roll Taylor was the second attorney on record for the Crown. Keith Seymour represented Fowler. This matter involving powerful people in the Anglican Church, I had to attack them. And then Alison Maynard was the Attorney General. Alison is Anglican. The next thing I know, they had this man out on bail. And it was a horrible thing that he did. And I am satisfied on the allegation made by certain members of Mrs. Archer family. And they said to me, Monica, the church is going to cause this man to escape. And I assured them that any church pastor that they could identify, I would take them on publicly. I've always been suspicious of the Anglican Church ever since Father Tynes accused the church of the death of Father Johnson. You remember when Father Johnson died? And the Anglican priest eulogized him and called the church priest killers? Well, I didn't take that figuratively. And some days I wonder if Father Mackenzie had not left the Anglican Church, would he have been able to hold on to Senator Fowler? He is fortunate that he was not given the death penalty. And the time has come for us to stop pussyfooting. Can you imagine taking a butter knife and stabbing an elderly woman in her chest? And then after you have done it, you ask your girlfriend and your friend to put a pillowcase over her head to smother her. And then you throw liquid and set afire a living human being. I thank God that I was able to prevent certain Archer families from taking the law in their hand. I said to the Negro male, you can't kill him, because if you do, I can't know, because I'm a justice of the peace. Praise the Lord. He listened, and Archer went to jail for 40 years. Listen, we have to control ourselves. Murders are wrong. And I call on the Anglican Church, to the extent that they have been in collusion, you had better repent. May Mrs. Archer rest in peace and rise in glory. This is Freedom March. The Anglican Church is guilty of some sins. I'll be right back after the break.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. Comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on 105.3 FM, The Beat. Spread the word. We have radio station now. And of course, we are on TV. 226, that's cable TV. 112, that's Flow.
226 or 224?
224. Help me, my spiritual advisor. What TV station are we on?
Channel 224. That's
Channel
ILTV.
224.
Yeah.
Thank you, my spiritual advisor. And on Flow TV, what is it?
112.
And on radio,
105.3 The Beat.
105.3 FM.
Batla.
Oui. Folks, I was telling you about Senator Fowler, the altar boy from St. Agnes who killed the St. Agnes elderly citizen. You see, when a relative came before me and complained and told me how long he has been waiting for trial, my mind went back to two situations. I can't remember which case, but I'm going to give both of them to you. In 1984, there was a beach warden by the name of Philip Kelly. Philip Kelly was murdered at Arawak Key. And then there was a Negro woman who was raped, murdered, and thrown over in the Seabreeze Canal. So it's one of those cases in which the prosecution kept one of the defendants remanded for 10 years. And so when the relatives said to me that they were suspicious, look how long this man has been in jail, 8 years, and they wouldn't bring the case, I said to him, by grab, this is a trick between the state and the Anglican Church. And what was my allegation? Justice Austin Thorne, in the early 90s, made a ruling in which he ruled that a criminal defendant who was held in custody for 10 years without trial, his lordship ruled that in the interest of justice, the murder charges came to a stop and the accused walked free, because Austin Thorne ruled that had he been convicted, let's say for manslaughter, he would have served perhaps a minimum or a maximum of 10 years. You see what good memory is? And when the family member complained to me, I said, this same moment, that is what they're trying to do. And I fired scud at the Attorney General Alison Maynard and her office. The next thing I know, the young man got a bail. They're up against me because I sat in Justice Austin Thorne's court and I listened to his judgment. I just can't remember if it was the murder involving the beach warden, Philip Kelly, who was murdered in 84, or the Negro woman who was raped, murdered, and threw in the canal. But as I think about it, so that was the reason why I immediately took offensive to the matter. My spiritual advisor, do you wish to comment?
No, not
on
at
that?
all. Not at all, Mr.
This is
Walker.
powerful.
Not at all.
This is powerful. And to the nephew of Mrs. Archer, remember what I told you? That they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Look how there is no blood on your hand, and the law has taken its course. Well, folks, I'll go to Bahama, where a Negro employee appeared before me. He's complaining about the security. And I said to him, what is your problem with the security? His problem with the security is that Bahama has identified an area opposite the Bahamas Development Bank for its staff. That is where staff parks. And then they are either shuttled to the resort. But there's only one security assigned there. And that is a wide open space. Well, guess what has been happening? I know it ain't the tourist dam, and I know it ain't the Conky Joe citizen. So it has to be one or two of my Negro brothers. They infiltrate the parking lot, and they disconnect the screw on the tires. The nuts
yeah.
of the car. And so the Negro man, not being aware, he drove out, and the next thing he knew, his car started to dance. And then Desmond Bannister got a lot of road where they have been doing work and not repairing the road. So he hit a hole, break off one of his nuts. The next thing he knew, he pulled into a gas station and he was informed, listen, all of your nuts is loose and slack. And then that happened to him that Monday. And by that Thursday, Negro gangsters infiltrated the parking lot and did it to his vehicle and other vehicles. I call on Bahama to reinforce the security. That's a big open space. You can't have one Negro security man there. Come, man. Yours is a multi-billion dollars organization. Put adequate security to protect the vehicles of the staff. That young man could have been killed. And I was excited when he appeared before me and lodged that complaint. I told him I shall take up his case. Young man, see how I've taken up your case? Bring more cases to me so that it may be exposed. So that is one of the things that needs to take place there. My spiritual advisor, do you wish to comment on that?
No, Mr. Manka, not at all.
Now, Marvin James, you're the Minister of National Security. You left Commodore Roderick Bowe in charge. Last night, I worked Bahama and I saw Saturation Patrol. Come, I want you to talk to Roderick. Tell Roderick, this is not the Defense Force where they go and sleep and allow the Haitian boat to flow in. Because I have new intelligence on that. And the new intelligence that I have is that there is an element of the Defense Force who is doing this deliberately to make Tellus Battle look bad. I want you all to stop this because this has nothing to do with Tellus Battle. You all find another way to make Tellus look bad. But it cannot be by compromising the national security of the country. See, they can't hide nothing from me, you know. I'm F&M, and the people them tell me. So you all find another way to make Tellus look bad. Okay? But it can't be to allow Haitian vessels to come in undetected. So I just thought I'll say that. Do you wish to comment on that, my spiritual advisor?
Nah.
This is powerful.
Politics, eh?
Well, the tourists at Bahama, it is amazing how God has blessed Bahama. I mean, all kind of tourists, man. I mean, lots of tourists. And I polled them. And as I polled them, I said, what do you think about Bahama? They say it's beautiful. They love it. They also give good accounting about the staff. But now, they've shared something with me. They said, it appears that Bahama cannot accommodate the tourists them in the restaurant. They're having problems sometimes of being served. At about 6 a.m. this morning, I took an American, his wife, and 3 children to the airport. They complained to me how they were not able to get dinner in the restaurant. I said, really? They said, yes. They said that Bahama told them that they had to make reservation, and they were not aware of that. So I asked them, how did they manage? They said, well, we got a taxi, and we went down to Fish Fry. So they went to Arwaki. There they had, they said, some conch salad and some conch fritter. So I said, y'all, it's the tourists them. So you're supposed to say conch. But we don't say conch. We say conch. And I asked the tourist man to repeat after me. He bust out laugh. And I said, say conch fritter. And he said, conch fritter. I said, say conch salad. And he said, conch salad. I said, but you're the tourist, you know. So you're free to say conch salad and conch fritter. Mm-hmm. Bahama, you need to implement a kind of exit poll to ask the tourists how was their services. I'm hearing too many tourists who tells me that they go to a restaurant only to be turned away. Then they take another door into the restaurant only to be accepted. All right? And they raise the question, is your kitchen adequately prepared for the amount of people that you have? But by and large, they continue to give Bahama an A+. So A+ for the tourists, and then, of course, inadequate security. I want y'all to fix that, okay? Because I have good contact. The people them tell me all kind of things. And everybody in the world now listen to Freedom March. So I don't want to say bad things to cause the tourists them to go someplace else. But Bahama is doing a wonderful job. Even though in today's paper, I do not like that story, but I leave it like that because Bahama, its success is a reflection on my cousin, Perry Gladstone Christie, and all the lies that my party spread on him. It is a demonstration that the PLP was serious in making sure that the best can happen for Bahama. And we are seeing it. So Bahama, go and correct those problems. 1, more security in the parking lot. That's the first thing. And find a way to accommodate your guests. I'm so upset when the man told me. Can you imagine that? A whole white man with a whole wife and 3 children. And they couldn't get anything. Now, of course, it was a blessing for RYK because he told me he spent all kind of money at Fish Fry. I just hope the government has fixed those lights. My spiritual advisor, do you wish to comment on that?
There were quite a bit of tourists on Fish Fry last night, despite, certain areas being dark, and I was impressed with that. Most of the restaurants, including Frankie Gone Bananas, they had quite a bit of tourists there. That was impressive. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Fish Fry is...
The man told me he went to Fish Fry last night.
Had quite a bit of tourists there.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for us,
And Bahama, with its generation of the tourists, money are trickling.
Yeah.
You follow?
It is a wonderful property.
Yeah, it's a wonderful property.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is what is happening there. Well, since I'm talking about tourism, I wondered if you've seen the Punch today. The Punch has an interesting headline. Slack F&M's let $5 billion oil crook ambush the PM. And then it talks about how when ministers come from Haiti. Listen, ministers may come from Haiti tonight. And you know what kind of place Haiti is. So when ministers come back, I expect ministers to be possessed by all kind of voodoo spirits. And when he comes back...
What's the purpose of Mr. Monica?
My spiritual advisor...
Yeah, back up on that, though. That doesn't
you
make
may comment afterward. I'm in contact with Haiti, you know. You heard me?
You got to be careful.
My spiritual advisor, you will comment after.
Yes, but I'm saying...
Now, so the Punch tell us that Menace is going to fire a bunch of people when he come from Haiti. Okay? Well, that is the price Menace pays for being malicious and vicious. Subaltern battle. You think Christie was fooled when he hired him as a consultant? Subaltern battle has institutional memory. You heard what I say? Institutional memory. That's the memory of things that has passed. Had the Prime Minister not been mean and spiteful and fired Subaltern, he would have been told that these oil people, a bunch of crooks. That is the danger. And now we know why. That Subaltern was hired by the Christie administration because of his competency, because of his efficiency, because of his institutional knowledge. But Menace decided that everything was political. And now he is suffering the consequence because he has novices who are doing what they call due diligence. Menace don't know what due diligence is if it was big as Christ Church Cathedral. And then, of course, Bren Simonet. You know Bren ain't know nothing but due diligence. Had he knew about due diligence, the former Prime Minister, Hubert Ingram, would not have fired him when he was in charge of the airport. And he gave a company that he has a major interest in to contract. So this is what we are up against. And this is the price that the F&M will pay straight through to the next election. They're firing people who understand the system and who has the institutional memory. My spiritual advisor, you may now comment.
I mean, why would you want to bring in the national religion of Haiti, right?
What is the national religion?
Voodoo.
Okay.
All right. The prime minister went with a delegation to Haiti to look at ways they could, ease the migration situation. Have two governments look at what they can do to help both parties. Look at the way Haitians are leaving Haiti in droves and coming to Bahamas, right? Then I think there's a farming issue too that they had probably looked at. They went to Haiti on business. Now, why would he return, with evil? That don't make no sense. You got to remember now, this prime minister, Dr. Ibn Menes, serves all Bahamians,
Is he?
So for you saying that he's coming back, but
listen,
Mr. Money,
this paper
I
here.
think that's irresponsible, man.
Put this on. This paper here is the Punch. The Punch is Menace paper. When they speak,
That's propaganda again.
This is not propaganda, my spiritual advisor. I'm an FNM, a card-carrying member
amazing,
of the party.
As long as the Punch
You
been
hear me?
around, all of a sudden now it's the prime minister's paper.
Listen, the
You know how long the Punch been
listen to
around?
me. How long has it been around?
That's more than 15, 20 years, man.
Do you know how long the Punch has been around?
Now you're saying it's.
Do you know how long the Punch?
How long has it been around?
1987.
All right.
All right? Now, I want you to listen to me. Every true FNM knows that the Punch is our mouthpiece. Ivan Johnson and the Prime Minister eat Chinese fried rice. Why are you laughing? I see them. I spy on them, I didn't know the PM loved Chinese food like that. All right?
All right.
And the Punch speaks for Menace. Menace is embarrassed. He got caught courting gangsters. But if he didn't fire, Subaltern battle. Subaltern would have said, PM, this is a gangster. PM, this is a gangster. So that is what is taking place there.
So
Now, over the last 5 days, 2 distinguished Conky Joe men passed away. The last one was Saturday. Sir David Knowles. He died at 100 years. Everybody knows Sir David. He was an Olympian. He was a man that most of these Negro people used to go to beg for money. And so he's loved among them. But there is another man who passed away. William McPherson Peter Christie. You all have his picture here? It's William McPherson Christie. You all got that in the setup? I want the people to see him because I will tell you what Penling said about him. Hello? Do you have the picture? Goodness me. I ordered this picture from 11:30 this morning. And I said, I want these, whatever picture you all put, I want these 2 Conky Joe men picture in the system. Anyway, so we know who Sir David Knowles is. He's 100 years old. He was the man who was in charge of all the sand. He bought sand, he sells sand. And then we know that he was like a boat captain. For years, Sir David exclusively bought in all the big ships. So he was an extremely wealthy man. We know he was an Olympian. And if you examine the Nassau Guardian and the Tribune, they're only talking about Sir David. But I see nothing about William McPherson Peter Christie. He was one of the princes of the UBP. He was a land developer, a relator, an attorney at law. He was also a master politician. And in 1992, Penling, speaking at a mass rally, announced the PLPs. Penling said, Peter Christie was an Andres, Jeffrey Johnstone, and he called on the Negro people. He said, I know things was tough, but listen to me. Don't bend down and pick up the chicken feed. Y'all find this picture yet? How I can teach these people if y'all don't have the picture? Sabat's gonna have to find me somebody else to do these things for me. I'm serious with that, man. How I get these people need to see this man.
who's that?
Peter McPherson Christie.
Okay.
Goodness of mercy. Anyway, I'm distracted, folks.
Give him some time. He'll get it.
Peter McPherson. His uncle was Sir Harold Christie. Sir Harold Christie was a major landowner, and when Sir Harry Oakes was murdered, one of the allegations, the sip, was that Sir Harold Christie, has an idea who killed Sir Harry Oakes. Sir Harry Oakes was an American citizen who went to Canada, became a Canadian citizen, and strike gold. Came here to the Bahamas and acquired thousands of acres of land. The Negro people sing his praise. They say he created lots of employment. And I think it was in July of 1943, is when they found Sir Harry Oakes murdered at his West Bay home. And there was a series of allegations involving Peter Christie's uncle and Fred Mitchell, godfather, Levi Gibson. And there was all kind of talks. Who killed Sir Harry Oakes? Sir Harry Oakes, however, his son-in-law was charged with the murder. It was believed that it was convenient to put it on him, but he eventually beat the rap and was clear. But I want to talk about William.
So who was the butler
Who was the butler?
in the house? Yeah.
I don't know who the butler was, but I know who the suspected murderers are. All right? But William Christie, no pictures of him? Goodness of mercy. So, but I need somebody in the studio who will put up my pictures because I need to talk about Peter Christie. I knew him personally, a very good friend of mine. I was shocked when I saw the obituary and discovered that he had died at Doctor's Hospital. I just seen him a couple of weeks ago. I had to go and see him to discuss a matter with him. But you all better hurry up and find that picture because I ordered that from 11:30 this morning. Anyway, my spiritual advisor, what is on your mind?
Just go ahead, man. You're doing a good job.
You think so?
Yeah, but keep that internal, though. I mean, everybody ain't got to know.
I want my picture. What do you mean? Keep that internal. I want the picture. I want to see Sir Harry, Mr. William McPherson, Peter Christie. He was a good Conky Joe man. Great man. Anyway, the obituary went like this. Mr. William McPherson, Peter Christie, passed away on Sunday, the 18th of February, 2018 at Doctor's Hospital, Collins Avenue, Nassau, Bahamas. He survived by his wife, Anna Rosemary Christie, son John, and partner Paolo Alvino, daughters Catherine Wallace and Cara Christie, grandsons Dwayne Wallace and Delan Christie and Kai Christie, granddaughters Tanya Shannon, Megan Milano, and Jasmine Wallace, son-in-law Anthony Wallace and Cairo Rocha, grandson-in-law Damien Shannon and Daniel Milano, great-granddaughter-in-law, or should I say granddaughter-in-law, Cherise Wallace, great-grandchildren, Clara Wallace, Huck, and Mia Shannon. A funeral service will be held at St. Andrew's Presbyterian, the Kirk, Prince Street, Nassau, the Bahamas, on Saturday, the 17th of March, 2018, at 3 p.m. In lieu of flowers, donations may be sent to the Bahamas Sailing Association in care of the Nassau Yacht Club, P.O. Box N752, Nassau, the Bahamas, or the Bahamas National Trust, P.O. Box N4105, Nassau, in memory of Mr. William McPherson, Peter Christie. I knew him personally, and I had the privilege of talking political secrets about him. But there's no picture, so who knows, when they find a picture for me, I'll come back and talk about William McPherson, Peter Christie. May he rest in peace and raise in glory. He was a wonderful Conky Joe man. Peter Christie is dead. I'll be right back after the break.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. Is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on radio 103.5 FM, The Beat. And if I was in Haiti, 105.3 FM. And if I was in Haiti with the Prime Minister, I would have said 105.3 FM, Batla. And of course, we are on TV. Well, my name is Rodney Monker. I have a special guest for the next hour. He is on his way to China. Trey Raming is his name. And then, of course, you know, my spiritual advisor, Bradley Roll, is here. Trey, welcome to Freedom March.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Monker and spiritual advisor.
Good afternoon.
You once held a job in the previous PLP administration. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
Well, I was the press aide for the former Prime Minister Christie.
Okay. And are you still working there?
No. No, I was also a Chinese consultant at BAIC, but since the change in government, that came to an end.
Are you a citizen of the Bahamas?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware if the Prime Minister knows that not only are you a citizen, you are a Negro? Do you know if the Prime Minister is aware of that?
I think he is.
Why did they fire you?
What kind of questions?
Well, no, I think the government policy currently is to cut back on the amount of fat state-owned enterprises have.
Okay.
And I think one of the areas that they have identified is employees, and I think that's a part of their fiscal cutting back or fiscal measures.
You're not justifying it, are you?
No, I'm not just justifying it.
Do you feel victimized?
Well, I don't know the reason for my termination, but I it's behind me now. It's been a month now, so I tend not to think about it or worry about it.
But do you feel victimized?
I don't worry about those things, man.
But do you feel victimized?
I don't worry about those things. I think my view is this. I respect whatever the government policy is. I think what is important is that as we go through this process of cutting back, that we identify the talented Bahamians who could advance government policies despite their political affiliation. I think that we have to find a formula for political inclusion, because there will be those amongst us, despite their politics, who believe in the advancement of the Bahamian people. And I think that we go through an electoral process where we decide on who's best to advance the country at the time. And once we've done that process, we go back to the process of nation building. So,
if I may ask a personal question, how old are you?
24.
You're 24. So the FNM has fired you. Am I correct in saying it that way? Or do you have a more sophisticated way of describing?
My contract was cancelled.
Your contract. Did they pay you out?
Yes, they did.
Oh, so you've been paid out?
I've been paid out.
And now you are on your way
to China.
What do you hope to achieve by going to China?
Well, currently I'm focusing on some personal development. I'm finishing off my educational stuff. Starting a consultancy with a few partners of mine. So I'm in the process of rebuilding after about 2 years of being in the Bahamas. So I'm trying to get back to where I was. And so I think this is now an opportunity for me to find ways I could identify opportunities in China and help advance Bahamians' economic interests, and find ways that I could help identify Bahamians who are interested in making money.
Okay. Well, talking about making money in China, what prospects do you see that the local Negro entrepreneur could be made interested in?
Well, I think what they can do is identify products by particular manufacturers, and those products could be used to catapult them into different business adventures. I think Bahamians who are interested in the agriculture industry can identify partners in China so that has the technical capabilities or investments to advance them. So I think there are a lot of areas, whether it's real estate, whether it's tourism, Bahamians interested in attracting Chinese tourism, and that's an opportunity for them as well.
Well, can I offer you the first job? Well, you didn't answer me. Can I offer you the first job so when you arrive in China?
Yeah.
You look like you're not interested in my business.
No, I'm very much interested in your
Goodness
business,
almighty.
man.
I have a Negro barber by the name of, what is the name of my barber? Barber, what's your name? Gary. Gary has designed a doll for me. It is a Picky Teeth Montobi doll
Okay.
that I would like to market.
Okay.
Is it possible you can get the Chinese to produce for me couple of hundreds of Picky Teeth Montobi dolls at a very reasonable price?
Absolutely.
So that I can make a nice profit to repair my roof, because my roof is leaking.
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely. I'll make sure whoever's the manufacturer, they make sure that I negotiate the best deal possible for you.
Really?
Yeah. That's
So you must make sure before you leave, you get my email contacts, you leave yours, because I need some Picky Teeth Montobi dolls. I could see the Picky Teeth Montobi dolls. Now, are you familiar with the journalist Candia Dames?
Yes, I am.
Originally, I wanted my doll to look ugly. But having taken a photograph with Candia, I had an opportunity to look at her close-up, and she is such a beautiful doll. You think my doll could look like Candia? Is that possible?
You know, I mean, if you and Candia work out the possibilities and she's okay about it looking like her, then absolutely.
You think the Chinese could do that?
Yes, they can.
I think I can make penny money selling dolls like Candia. Only different now, I want long dress on this doll.
Okay.
You know, because I don't want my doll, you know?
I understand.
But you think you can do it?
I can do it.
What else you think is available to Bahamians? Give us some idea.
Well, I think what is important for me is I want to be able to take a group of Bahamians down to China.
Okay.
So they could see opportunities firsthand.
How long it takes to get to China?
Depending on what route we go.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm going through Canada tomorrow, so I'll get to China on Wednesday.
And what tomorrow is? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
You get to China on Wednesday.
So Wednesday morning.
Okay.
So I'll overnight in China, and then the following morning I'll fly to Beijing. Some people could go from Nassau to Atlanta to Beijing. So it's all depending on the route. So, but the flight is about 13 hours.
Either way, it's 13 hours.
Either way, 13 hours. Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
powerful. Tell me some of your experiences in China.
Well, you know what I have done since being there, I've just focused on identifying areas. I started off with tourism and trying to promote outbound Chinese tourism in the Bahamas, and so I also focus on agriculture. And so when I go back to China, one of the things I want to talk about is how I could use Chinese services and expertise to teach Bahamian farmers. I mean, to see what technologies or advancement what they're doing in the Asian side and how we can incorporate that. Also, there may be Bahamian producers in the fishery industry that want to export lobster to China, and that's a growing market and a growing option.
Do you know anything in Chinese?
Well, I do speak level 3 Mandarin.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you say hello
Ni
in
hao.
Mandarin?
Ni hao.
Okay. I want you to interpret this for me. Ching Wang 42! Come on.
Qing Wang Se
That's
Ling.
Really? Goodness of mercy. You mustn't curse on this studio. What else? What other daily word you could teach me in Chinese?
That's you know what is interesting.
Yes,
When
my
it comes
spiritual
to
advisor.
a second language. Why do you want to know what the dirty words
I
are?
want to be able to curse.
Okay, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Perry Christie Nida Laban.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Perry Christie need a band?
No, Nida Laban.
Perry Christie need a Laban.
Yeah.
Ah, Perry Christie is the leader.
He's your boss.
It's the boss. Goodness, my Chinese.
That's a joke, but you know.
Yeah,
But now since I Philip Brave Davis Laban.
Philip Brave Davis Laban.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I wanted to say that Dr. Menace is a bad Laban, how should I say that?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't teach me that one.
No, I wouldn't teach
no
you
problem.
that.
I wouldn't put no pressure on you because, after all, Dr. Menace done victimize you. So, but don't worry about that. You were 24, and one day you will have to hold his hand and lead him across the road.
Well, you know, I think, you know, I hope that someday in our society we get to a point where political maturity and civility is the order of the day. And despite, I've come to the conclusion that we cannot build a society where we believe that one part of the political divide is good enough to build a Bahamas. I think it's going to take PLPs and FNMs and DNAs and independent thinkers to advance the interests that we care about. Mm-hmm. And I don't.
So why when the PLP come to power, it fires some FNMs. When the FNM come to power, they fire some PLP. Why do you all do that?
One of the things the former Prime Minister has always been criticized.
This
for,
is Papa?
No, I mean Christie.
Okay.
Has been criticized for is his unwillingness to fire those who were of a different political supporting.
Okay.
He didn't believe in it. He was an advocate for those who were talented. He know how to include them in the overall process. And sometimes, either during a meeting or after a meeting, he will always hint to me that person, as cordial as they may be, never supported him. But that didn't prevent him from utilizing whatever talents they had to advance the country.
My spiritual advisor,
That's interesting. That
he's on his way to China. Mm-hmm.
I wish him luck.
Do you need anything? My head is bald. Do they have any China brush?
I can get you a wig, a Chinese wig, you know? Okay. It's a Chinese wig to help you out.
My spiritual advisor, you wouldn't need a brush for your head.
No. I'm going to stay bald.
You're going to stay bald?
Yeah.
Do they really make China brush?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
But I think...
I have a female relative. She has long hair. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted one for her.
Well, let me say this, Monka, whilst on a different note.
Okay.
I must say, from knowing you, I've always admired your willingness to be an advocate, to advocate all things good for the Bahamian. I think even at times, if you are a lone wolf in that process, I mean, I think it's admirable for anyone to stand up and believe in what they believe in. And I think that there are Bahamians out there who depend on your voice.
Well, I thank you. And let me assure you, flattery will get you far today. So I thank you very much. What has been your experience in government? Do you like being in government?
Well, I think one of the things that made me excited was that every day you wake up with the hope that you could make a better Bahamas.
Okay.
And then over the last 2 years, a year and a half, with working with the former Prime Minister, we had three objectives and ending the last part of the term. One was to ensure that Bahamian creditors were being paid in Bahama, that we identify a buyer that we were satisfied with, and 3, that we ensure that Bahama opened on time. We achieved that. The second thing is we wanted to ensure that Bahamians had equal access or affordable access to national health insurance. I think that we achieved that. A third thing was we wanted to have more accessibility, that persons on the family island who were either talented in sports, in any field of sports, we were in the process of making sure that they had access to the same sporting facilities that children had in Nassau. And I think we was in the process of achieving that.
Well, let's go back to Bahama. It appears, and I'm a cab driver, mm-hmm. and I've been back on the taxi line. Now, I'm under caution of the cab drivers. They've said to me, do not speak too well of Bahama because they don't want other cab drivers to come down to Bahama. But it appears on the face of it that Bahama is generating lots of economic activity. Mainly, there are lots of tourists. And from the intelligence that I've received, Bahama is said to be full.
Mm-hmm.
or book out straight to October.
Well, I'll say this, Mr. Monco. The commentary surrounding Bahama during the election was unfortunate. I think the Bahamian people deserve a national discourse, a dialogue, with information that is accurate and that is not exploited because of political gain. Because what happens after that is that when you put a particular position in the public domain and you are elected, it's very difficult to revert to a new position because it somehow it undermines your credibility. So I think we owe the people and we owe our citizens not to dumb down the political debate.
You're right.
I think we ought to call it what it is. If we have, I could tell you many times that the former Prime Minister, during his negotiations.
Now, when you say the former Prime Minister
Christie,
you must say that because my mind is on Papa, and you know Papa is in London.
All right.
And he's left me to watch the FNM till he comes back.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
Former Prime Minister Christie ensured his best in the negotiation of Bahama that he negotiated the best in the interest of the Bahamian people. And when there were times he didn't get what he thought was in the best of the Bahamian people, he walked away from the negotiation table until he got it. So he was unflinching when it comes to advancing what he thought was the best deal for Bahamas.
Well, I hate to tell you I agree with you, but I do. And we, as cab drivers, we are seeing the manifestation of it just working at Bahama. Because, as I told you, I have received intelligence, you know, as leader of the Woman Dam, I now have access to Bahama confidential intelligence that they are booked straight to October. So I think that is great. So you were a student in China?
Yeah, I was a student. I studied at the University of International Economics, Business and Economics. I was in my last year, and I was home for my summer break, and I was at the independence ceremony at the time, and the former Prime Minister Christie walked up to me, and he said that your name was being floated as a person who could be my press aide. And at the time I said that, well, the unfortunate thing, I was in my last year of university. And so one of the things I tried to weigh out was what I was giving up and what I was gaining. And what I wanted to see is what it takes to run a country at a first view. And I think it's an invaluable experience that I don't know in my lifetime if I would be able to see it again. But to see what it takes, I mean, whether you are Hubert Ingraham or Hubert Minnis, the Honourable Hubert Ingraham, the Honourable Hubert Minnis, or the former Prime Minister, only those who've had the office of Prime Minister understand the full weight of its responsibility.
Let me ask you another question before I go to the phone. Did they teach you in English? Or did they teach you in their language?
No. I chose. You had an option. I just chose to learn my degree in English because I wanted more time to focus on other opportunities.
Okay. Let's go to the phone. Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Mr. Monker.
Good afternoon, my dear.
You and your guest.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Monker, I am so happy. I watch your show on a regular basis.
Well, I thank you.
But listening to this young man, and this is one of the reasons why I love you, I love the spiritual advisor, and I respect you as the leader of the Woman Dam.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Because, when you just made the statement, when the young man spoke about former Prime Minister Christie, and you said you had to agree with him, like I always tell people, you are an F&M, but you're a nationalist first and foremost.
Indeed I am.
You call a spade, you don't sugarcoat anything. Mr. Ramming, I've just sat here and I was watching you, and I say to you, young man, you were under the age of 30. You have a bright future in this country. God is going to direct your steps. Listening to you in these couple of minutes since 5 o'clock, you have made more sense in the time you have spoken than many of those persons who are sitting in the House of Assembly for the past year, because some of them are just sitting there and have nothing to say. You continue what you're doing, put God first in your life, young man, and you will succeed. Mr. Monker, continue to speak truth. Spiritual advisor, continue to keep my leader on the right path.
Absolutely.
God bless you all.
God bless you
God
too,
bless
ma'am.
the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and God save the Queen.
I thank you.
Thank you.
God save the Queen. Oh, what will I do without the woman there?
My Grammy's a woman, them.
Your Grammy is with me?
She's a woman, them.
Lord,
My Grammy's a woman, them, boy.
Latre, grandmother, must be a wonderful woman to accept my leadership. Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Mr. Muncan. Good afternoon, the spiritual advisor.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon
That's
to
right.
my grandnephew, Latre Rami.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Trey, your grand aunt is so proud of you. Trey, you're doing an excellent job.
This is powerful.
And Trey, I pray for you and I wish you all the best as you head to China tomorrow. And you're going to be our next Prime Minister. Trey, I'm so proud of you. Your
This is
grand
powerful.
aunt love you.
This
Love
is
you,
powerful.
darling.
This is powerful.
Well, no, thank you, and I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you.
You're one of the women now?
Yes.
This is powerful.
You know,
Oh, love you. Bye, Trey.
Right. Thank you so much. You know, well, I'll say this on that note. I whilst I find, okay, go ahead.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Munca.
Good afternoon, my love.
And good afternoon, spiritual advisor.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
And to Mr. Ramin. Lovely boy. Anyway, on behalf of the PLPs, Stalwart Councillors, we wish you luck and well. And when you get to China, tell them, Konnichiwa, Mitsami, come to the Bahamas. We're waiting on them.
Konnichiwa, Mensami.
Mitsami, we are waiting on them.
Man, this is powerful. Everybody can speak Chinese. You better teach me how to speak Chinese.
He's going to teach you before he goes.
This is powerful.
And you will do well. I know you will.
Of course he will do well.
Yes,
He will do well.
because the Prime Minister taught him well.
This is powerful.
That's what cost us to lose last time.
Wow.
He never fired no one.
Okay.
He left them right in them spots.
That's powerful.
Have a nice day.
Take good care, my love.
All right.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Mr. Monka,
So,
I just want to congratulate the Trey on a wonderful job he's doing.
all right.
The Trey and I, back in our early college days, we used to go around to the schools and speak to the young kids.
Wow.
And ever since then, he's been doing a wonderful job.
This is
So we
powerful.
wish him all the best as he travels to China tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
And God save the Queen.
God save the Queen, my Negro people. Listen, don't forget, I'm looking for a picky teeth Montobi doll, okay? Other than that, when you're watching me from China on Facebook, I shall be cursing you out. Do I have another caller? My spiritual advisor, it is interesting that at 24, he set,
A lot of
I don't know if I
potential.
should say set sail. He set flight for China.
It's completed last year. That's what
Yeah,
you want to do?
last
So
year.
you're going back to university.
Different than last year. And I accept the commentary by my grand aunt and other PLPs. But I would say this, whilst I may be one of those young potentials, there are a lot of young persons I meet throughout the party on both divides.
Yeah.
I think that we have a consensus that despite what our current political system or environment may represent today, we don't accept it. I think that we believe that the Bahamas should be inclusive. It should incorporate those from different political divide, black, white, rich, and poor. And that's the only way we're going to ever achieve our objectives. And I think that I like having persons being able to debate vigorously how we make the best little country that we could all be proud of.
This is powerful. You are obviously a nationalist yourself.
Yeah,
when you think in such a mature manner.
That's why one of the reasons why I didn't answer the question whether I was victimized or not. To me, it wasn't important because I understand how politics operate. I don't let things distract me. I think that I'm on to something different. I think that for me, the question is how do we ensure that whether it's the PLP or the FNM, we find the right formula of policies to help ensure that people feel like they could contribute to the economic well-being of the Bahamas. And I think that the current feeling, there's a lot of persons who don't feel like they're included in this thing called the nation building of a better Bahamas. And being on the outside looking in, the outside looking is not a very good feeling. So we had to find a way how we could bring everyone in.
It's powerful. Listen, folks, I'm talking to Latreille Raming. He is 24. He used to be a press assistant to former Prime Minister Perry Gladstone Christie. My party came to power. They terminated his contract. He told us that he's been paid out. And tomorrow he's heading to China to further his education. And of course, there are many people who are proud of him and they have been expressing it. So when we return, we'll talk politics and Latreille will remain with us until 6 p.m.
Do you have something to say to the senator? Call Freedom March at 323-7775. Toll free from anywhere in the Bahamas at 242-300-0045. Freedom March with Rodney Monker, only on ILTV. Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on 105.3 FM, The Beat. That's our radio station. And then we are on TV, cable 224, my spiritual advisor. Am I correct?
Yes, Channel 224, yes.
And Flow TV 112. All right.
Absolutely.
Folks, before I entertain Latreille Raming, I want to draw to your attention how grossly irresponsible the FNM government is. You would recall there was a plane crash. And my God, for weeks, the government is supposed to have had the police and the defense force searching for the wreckage. But it appears that we were being misled, that no one has been looking for it. I can't understand it. It was almost as if what the man keep telling me. Remember I told you all I had a source who was leaking things to me? And I decided I'm not going to allow him to cause me to be paranoid. But he almost suggested, like the government don't want us to know what the truth is. And I said to myself, this Negro man is playing with my mind. So let me read an article out of the Nassau Guardian. The wreckage of a plane crash that claimed 6 lives off Andros last month was salvaged yesterday. Chief investigator of the Air Accident Investigation Department, Delvin Major, confirmed. A video that went viral over a week ago showed the wreckage from above the water. After it was discovered by fishermen, the aircraft was recovered from waters adjacent to the previous search location by a salvage team with assistance from specialist divers of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Major said in a statement, the wreckage will be taken to the United States where additional analysis will be conducted by the Air Accidents Investigation Department with assistance from specialists provided by the aircraft and engine manufacturers and the National Transportation Safety Board. All major components and parts of the aircraft were recovered. On January 17, the 6-seater private aircraft that departed San Andres Airport on its way to New Providence crashed, killing the 5 passengers and pilot on board. The victims were Margaret Adderley, Darren Clark, the pilot, Valentino Russell, Ricardo Carter Campbell, Desiree Russell, and a 10-year-old daughter, Destiny Wilson. Investigators revealed that the pilot was operating a commercial flight in breach of his private pilot's license, a practice otherwise known as hacking. They also determined that weather conditions on the morning of the flight required the pilot to rely on the instruments of the twin-engine Piper, a certification he did not possess for that type of plane. The fatal crash sparked debates surrounding the need for stricter regulations in the aviation charter sector. The prevalence and unregulated use of air hackers has been a long-standing issue in the aviation sector. Anyway, it's just amazing that those Negroes couldn't find the plane, and it was right there all the time. Latrey, before I engage you, let's go to the phone, okay?
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Good
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello,
Good
hello.
afternoon, Mr. Monkar.
Well, next phone. My producer, is there somebody on the line? Hello? Anybody on the phone?
Hello?
Well, I can't hear them.
Hello?
Yes, my dear.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm holding, thank God, and Mr. Spiritual Advisor.
Hi, good evening. How you doing?
I'm blessed.
Great.
And to your wonderful guest, Mr. Raman.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
You know, as I sit and watch and listen to you, you put all kind of goosebumps through my body as a young man at the age of 24.
Oh, mama.
And as the way you, presenting yourself to the country. I pray your walk with God. Each step you make, God walk with you and you walk with God. Continue whatever you are doing, and whenever you go back to finish off whatever course you are finishing up, please come back to the Bahamas. We need young men like you to come to build the Bahamas. You are not criticizing, you're not pulling down no party, you just cutting it the way you see it. May God continue to bless you, and I pray your strength in Jesus that he would lift you as high as you chooses to want to go. So please, Mr. Raman, whenever you finish, don't forget the Bahamas. We need you. I may not be on the scene, but we need you. Come back to help the young men. Then we need young men like you. And the walk you're walking the right walk, you're talking the right talk. So please, Mr. Raman, don't let us down.
Thank you so
You're
much.
going too far to turn back.
Yes, ma'am.
And to my spiritual advisor,
Yes, ma'am.
happy belated birthday.
God bless you.
But you
Thank
didn't
so much.
invite me. You didn't come on TV and have party like Mr. Monkar so we could see.
Yes.
We wanted to see, but you wanted to do it, so you don't want me to see what
No,
you're doing.
I
Why you
didn't-
did that?
I didn't even have a private function. I was just thinking how much money I had to spend. So maybe next year.
Oh, I think you're saving that money to pay off Clico then.
Wow. This is powerful.
Maybe next year.
Anyway, Mama,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, have a blessed one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, baby.
Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Come on, speak to me. Hello? Okay, anybody else? Well, Latrey, I think the elderly woman, she has spoken objectively about you. So,
No, and I think, and I thank you for those sincere words. But I think Wildtry may be one of those persons who've committed to advancing the country. I think it's going to need to be more
but she
me and
wants
others.
you to return.
Oh,
There are some people.
there's no doubt in my mind
Yeah.
that I can't finish fast enough to come back home
Yeah.
to the Bahamas, and that's my goal, that's my view. I think that one of the things I've learned about being abroad is that we ought to be serious about national development. We got to be consistent in our goals. We got to be consistent in what we want to achieve as a country.
Yes.
And my view is if we want to build the smartest country with the smartest workforce with the best technology, let's go after it. If we want to be the country with the best talented athletes, let's just dream at going towards something.
Well, let's talk a little local politics. I saw you at the event of the leader of the opposition, Philip Brave Davis. How do you see Philip Brave Davis as the leader of the PLP, leader of the opposition, and what is your anticipation for him in terms of policies as the incoming Prime Minister?
Well, I think one of the things I've came to admire about the Honourable Philip Brave Davis is his ability to be organized. He is very strategic in his approach. And he came into a party understanding that we had suffered a big defeat after in the 2017 election. He rolled up his sleeve. He assembled a team of individuals to help rebrand the party. We're going through a reform process, and there's no doubt in my mind the next stage we will begin is how do we identify the policies we think could contribute, whether it's from the economy or social development, that is constituted in the belief or grounded in the beliefs of the PLP. And I think and our philosophy is one where we believe that every Bahamian deserves an equal opportunity to a better economic and social well-being. And whatever policies that could be constituted and produced by the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, I think that will translate into his abilities and whether or not he will be the Prime Minister.
Now, no doubt you would recall that I think it was in the same month that the Speaker, the Honorable Halston Moultrie, launched a vicious attack against the Leader of the Opposition, his wife, and other opposition parliamentarians. Do you have any views on that situation?
My view was simple. I think that the Bahamian people deserve better than what was said in the Parliament. I think we deserve better. I think the Speaker of the House has an awesome responsibility to have the highest standard of being in the House of Assembly and Parliament. I think that what I saw and what was endorsed by others was unfortunate, and it ought to be condemned. I felt that I felt that if it had been me, I would have resigned, because I believe that we should set a standard. And if I'm in a position where people expect a lot from me and I fail them, I think that the best I owe it to them to resign and to put someone who could restore the confidence in that position. But we are past that now, and I think it ought to be a learning curve and a learning experience that we shouldn't never allow ourselves to get that low, despite no matter how contentious the situation should be.
Well, if I may divert just for a few seconds, I was happy that on Saturday I had received that invitation to the media. What is a good way of terming it?
It was an event honoring the Florida State, the media, and recognizing the what they do and the dedication they have to informing the Bahamian people.
Well, I used that opportunity to pass a message on to Anne Murray, the wife of the Leader of the Opposition, from the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram. Prior to Mr. Ingram departing for London, I was honored to have breakfast, and he had said to me that he wanted me to apologize to Mrs. Anne Murray for him and for the way the Speaker had attempted to abuse her. So during a period in which she greeted me, I said to her, listen, I have a secret message from the former Prime Minister Hubert Alexander Ingram, who's in London. So I said to her, Mr. Ingram has asked me to apologize to you, not only publicly, but privately. So I want you to know. And she said, well, tell Papa I say thanks. Now, Papa should be in London watching me at this point. Papa, are you there? Papa, are you there? Well, I'll let you know, Prime Minister, former. I saw Mrs. Anne Marie Davis on Saturday at their residence, and I pass your message on. Now, Papa, you're going to have to reward me now, okay? Because I'm doing all these things, and when you come back, Papa, I needed a reward. And the wife of the Leader of the Opposition in this country, she said to tell you thanks. I thought it was great. When I met with Mr. Ingram, he thought the attack by the Speaker was despicable. And he asked me to go on national TV and apologize. So Papa now takes responsibility for all the foolishness that the Minister administration does.
I think Spiritual Advisor had a question.
Go ahead, my Spiritual Advisor.
I got a quick question on action. Listen,
go ahead.
I know this is all hindsight, right?
Okay, go ahead.
But I just want to hear it from you. All right, you've been approached have been approached by the former Prime Minister about coming on board, and he saw your talent and helping work with the government, and you knew that you just had one more year to go. Now that you think about it, you made one decision over the other one, and now you have to go back to finish off. After weighing both decisions on the balance, you think about it. Do you have any regrets now?
I absolutely don't. I could tell
No
you.
regrets?
I could tell you that in my 1 year and a half of being at the office of the Prime Minister, I've seen the challenges this country face up front. But one of the things I have also seen was the opportunities, and in our private conversations with the former Prime Minister, he always spoke to the potential the country has. And I think that, that each leader, whether it was Ingram, whether it's Lyndon, whether it was Christie, brings the country to a particular point. And each island we went to, he showed me the potential of what each island can become. And so I absorb it. I absorb the experience of the moment, and I also absorb the kind of temperament that is required to lead. Because there are many days. I think one of the challenges, one of the most defining moments I had was there was one day before Hurricane Matthew, and the meteorologist at the time was describing a horrible situation, and you breathe. And I asked him, I said, "How do you feel?" And he said, "Latreille, well, as the Prime Minister, the people expect me to lead." And so I understood the responsibility of leadership. So I have no regret.
No regret.
I made a lot of friends, and I think that for me, my focus right now is finishing up.
Okay, so that 1 year and a half experience would be a footnote to your path in finishing off your 1 year in China. So the question now is that you made a very interesting point and observation, right? It's once you're done with that, you will continue in politics, no doubt. What's the future for you when you return to Bahamas? Because you make reference that apparently it does seem as if leadership in certain governments don't look at talent. They see party politics and may not want to use a person's talent because they may be associated with a particular party. I know you hesitated when Mr. Moncur asked you if you feel, if you felt that you've been victimized, or you felt that the FNM outrightly fired you or canceled your contract because of your political association with the former administration. What's the future for you?
Well, my future is one, to become the best entrepreneur I could become, and to make something out of myself. Secondly, my focus is to discuss with young people in my age bracket, whether it be FNM or DNA, and to tell them, like, look, that we have a country to build. Whether you are PLP or FNM, we must come together. That we cannot be distracted. We cannot allow this partisan approach to nation building. And it is a foolish notion. It is a foolish ideology to believe that one side of the political divide have the answers to move this country forward. I think that my view is that I'm going to continue to have the attitude and approach that you're going to need PLPs and FNMs to get this thing done. And I think if we continue to be that example, then I think we could do our part in denting this culture that says that, oh, if you don't support our political persuasion, you don't have the right to contribute. I think that it will require FNMs believing in that, and it will require PLPs believing in that. And my job is to find like-minded individuals, and I make in advancing that.
What is your views on this fiasco in which our Prime Minister signed an agreement with some crooks?
Well, let me say this. When the PLP was the government, right, there was an agreement in principle depending on three things. One, whether the individuals involved had the funding to complete the project. Secondly, whether the individuals involved was of good character. Thirdly, whether the individuals involved, before there is a heads of agreement, undergo a process of thorough environmental studies to understand the implication of a particular investment. the individuals at that time never produced either of the three, and so therefore the PLP didn't approve it or move forward with it. I think the learning curve in every situation is a learning curve.
Should the PLP not have said to Dr. Minnis, Doc, don't sign that? Or the party didn't know what he was doing?
I think the government. I think the government.
Was there an obligation on the PLP to say to the Prime Minister?
I cannot speak of the relationship between the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister, but I will say this: there are government technocrats who ought to know what is the checks and balances when it comes to foreign direct investments in our country. There is a process that we must undergo. I think that whilst we are in a quest for economic development, we have to always ensure and practice the patience to know that any decision we make will have an implication. And we ought to always maximize the benefit of making the best decision. Now, like I say, this is a learning curve. You got to be careful who you're getting in bed with.
The Prime Minister said, look, in advance we knew these were crooks. Essentially, that is what he meant. In view of the fact that the Prime Minister now knows that these are gangsters, they ripped off the British American Insurance Company, the poor people, they robbed Clico. Clico people are still complaining. You think the government should go forward, or do you think?
I think the government. I think the government should listen to the opinions of the people that want them to put a break on this thing, to take a second.
And you're not scoring political point by saying that the F&M should turn back.
No, I simply, I'm not.
You really think they should turn back?
I think that they should just put a break on it. I mean, that you will lose nothing as a government.
Nikki Kelly in the Punch said that Dr. Minnis head hard.
I will say this again: a government will lose nothing if they can just simply pause, look at the circumstances, and make the best decision. If you find that the individuals involved is not of good faith, and you do not want to move forward with them, and they will not act in the best interest of the Bahamian people, you will find the Bahamian people on your side.
But can't you look at Dr. Minnis' argument? Listen to his argument. We know that these are crooks. We know that they are shysters. We know that they rip off Clico. We know that he ran off with $10,025,000 from the British American Insurance Company. If a government says, we know these are gangsters, right? You still think the government shouldn't deal with them?
I don't think the government should deal with them. That's my position. I think that if those individuals did not meet the criteria of the three things that I listed before, the government have no business doing business with them.
Well, that's a different position from the opposition leader. He shared a different view, and that if someone would have served their time after being charged or convicted of a certain felony or whatever have you, and if they show signs that they're willing to change, why rob them of that opportunity?
But
that's the leader of the opposition view.
Yes, if they do what? Show signs.
Yeah.
But I told you.
Yeah, you show no signs.
I want you to watch out for this.
You keep saying and then using one particular
person. Listen to me, my spiritual advisor.
We're only looking at one particular person.
No.
We're not looking at a group of men.
We're looking at an individual.
One individual.
The ambassador.
Okay, good.
His Excellency, Mr. Peter Kruger.
Well, I would say this.
You don't know credentials.
If I am a owner of a company, and there's an ambassador for my company, I will always ensure that the ambassador that represents me have the best of a reputation.
What if I'm a
for an ambassador? Then you ought not to be an ambassador, because an ambassador is a representation of the company.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, but the company is a crooked company.
Oban. You know anything about Oban? Have you researched Oban to see what it's all about?
I know, it's a bunch of crooks. All right? And I want to correct something with the spiritual advisor. There is evidence to show that Peter Kruger did not obey a court order All right? So he's disqualified.
Once that court order would be able to reach across the boundary where it was actually instituted.
Stop taking up for gangsters,
No, I'm not taking
man.
up. I'm just saying that there's certain
Stop it, man.
court orders that does not
amazing.
transcend certain boundaries.
My
All
spiritual
right?
advisor,
So if
it's
I leave
amazing.
a certain jurisdiction and I do something,
no.
I may not be guilty of violating.
No.
Well, I mean, that's the reality of that.
He's a gangster.
Okay.
All right? Listen, you have the last say.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me on your show. I just wanted to tell your listening audience that the most powerful...
Pass this to my spiritual advisor.
Very patriotic, Mr. Monka.
Here's one for you.
We get the flag.
Yeah.
So I want to say...
One Bahamas.
I want to say to your guests that
Yes.
despite the challenges we face, despite how divisive our politics may be, that does not represent the best of what we can be as a country.
This is true.
And that we should all come together and put an understanding that the most powerful weapon is a talented Bahamian, and nothing that we put our minds forward and think about.
Are you a PLP?
Yes, I am.
Are you proud to be a PLP?
I'm proud to be a PLP.
Can I give you the PLP test?
Go ahead.
You think you could pass it?
Listen to me.
Do you think
Listen
you
to
could
me.
pass it?
You
Look
know-
at the million people watching us. You think you could pass it?
Listen to me.
Let me test you. PLP!
All the way.
So, mercy. Let's try it one more time. Let me see if you could pass the PLP test. Hold up your flag. This the flag pen didn't give us, you know. PLP!
All the way. And no other way.
This is powerful. Listen, folks. We have the Trey Ramming, Brother Ramming.
for
I
having me,
wish
man.
you Godspeed.
All
Don't
the best,
forget,
man. You're a bright young man. All the
I
best.
want to know the cost of those picky teeth Montobi dolls. All right? Because my roof is leaking and I need to sell some dolls. Folks, tomorrow, there's some other issues that I've not dealt with. We'll look at the other issues.
And tax.
And tax, okay? Because Dr. Menace is in Haiti. And to the Haitian people, Pakashe Naraja, because Menace is there. This is Freedom March. Take it care. The train. Do well.
Absolutely.
And my spiritual advisor and I say farewell, brother.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Décidez-vous.
Au revoir.
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.